Hello and a very warm welcome to day one of March's challenge, which is all about launching your freebie. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So I'm going to be live here every day at 2:30 UK time, Monday through to Thursday, and then on Friday, my plan is for you to, over the course of the next 4 days, is for you to create a bespoke plan that helps you really understand the actions that you need to take in order to get your freebie out there, and that this is a plan that you can implement, that this is a plan that you can monitor, and therefore when you're monitoring you will be able to make any adjustments to it as well, so you can start to really understand how you can get your fabulous freebies out there. So welcome everybody, come and say hi. Dee's here. I can see that there's a few other people here as well. So we are going to be looking at our freebies. Why is it important for us to launch our freebies? Why do we have to do this? Isn't it good enough that we have fabulous freebies and we tell people once and they just all come clamoring? Well, in this day and age, everybody is asking for your email out there. You only have to go into a shop, a dry cleaners, I don't know, a leisure facility, and everybody asks for your email addresses. So we become a very we stop wanting to share our emails addresses because we know that our inboxes are going to get absolutely stuffed full of other people's promotions. So as consumers ourselves, we start to become very careful about whose details, who we give our details to, and that's something we've got to bear in mind for us and our soulmate clients. So come, and what I'd love to hear is, where are you on your freebie journey? So have you created freebies? Are you in the middle of creating a freebie? Have you never created a freebie? Have you got a freebie in mind that you're going to launch this week during the challenge? So Sharon was asking if this was an appropriate challenge to get involved in when you haven't created your freebie yet, and I was like, yes, this is going to really get you thinking about how to do this. So come and tell me where you are on your freebie experience. So Tam says she's got lots that are 90%. So let's hope by the end of this week then, Tam, that we get you one freebie that you're really, really excited about, that we get that finished off. And this might be part of your current journey that you're on, where you're just shifting and realigning into what your business is and what you're here to do. So that might be a good thing. But as I shared in this month's module, there is a whole load of ways that you can actually create and deliver your freebies as well. So actually what I love about freebies is that it allows us to get very, very creative. And also one of the cool things about launching your freebie is that it's not attached to a sale, is it? So this gives you an opportunity to actually get comfortable with launching. So you're going to learn this week, not just how to launch a freebie, but how to launch, which obviously leads us into the next phase of your business. So yeah, Lucy's got her first one in the pipeline. She's looking forward to getting it launched this week. Dee said just updated the freebie. Yeah, brilliant. A value, yes, I'm going to talk about that. Carol says I had a half-hearted one, but some juicy ones in mind. Alana says I have one, designed it in Canva, hated it, so I'm getting someone else. Yeah, exactly. Right, Tam, great reflection. She is recognizing that she has actually got freebies completed. It's just 10% is creeping in. As you will know by now, that I work on the basis of almost done is good enough. When we're waiting for that perfectionism, it's only fulfilling something within you. Your audience is not looking for you to be perfect. They're just looking for the information. So let's talk about freebies in the first place. Don't worry, I wasn't having some sort of moment then. I was just checking to see if the light was on. Very good insight. So freebies is the way that we can go out and position ourselves as an authority in our field. And very simply, why this is important is because the internet has opened the doors up to all, the doors are wide open across the internet for lots of people who have similar services as us. So we want to position ourselves as the authority in the marketplace. Now, I don't want you to start trembling at the knees and worrying about, oh, but I can't do that, who am I? This is the authority as you are to your audience doing your thing. And believe it or not, there are hundreds and thousands of people who want you and your services and your expertise exactly at the point where you're at right now. What you've got to remember is sometimes we have the disease of information. We understand how to do the things that we do, our area of specialism, and therefore we can make the assumption that everybody can do these things. And that's not true. They're the things that people are actually going to buy from you. So let me know if you have that kind of worry about being inferior and who are you to actually go out there and say that you are an authority in your business. And of course, whenever we're doing something like this, it is, it's a mindset piece, isn't it? Tam's just realised that she's got to overcome this kind of 10% perfectionist coming in. Yeah, okay. So whenever something comes up where you are starting to worry about how you can go out there as an expert and starting to come from a place of authority, that is a time when you definitely need to go back to the bundle about reprogramming yourself for success and start to look at the areas in which this is coming up and deal with it. Again, it's a really brilliant opportunity to dial into that fear, into that worry, concern, and banish it, because that's what we need to do. So in the good old days, you used to be able to put a freebie out there, everybody would jump on board, they'd all join your email list, and life was easy. But that's not where we are right now. Where we're at right now is that there's a lot of people doing a lot of things that we're doing. So we're going to break it down over the next 4 days, so you've got an actionable every day to take forward. This is like your space, so of course come into the 5K Club this week and ask questions about any aspect of your business, but let's really focus on launching your freebie, because this is something I see all the time that people create. So Tam's, she's kind of put her hand up and said, look, I've got a ton of freebies, and lots of people do. And what we do often, and I don't know if Tam's done this, but I've seen this happen time and time again with other people who put a lot of love into their freebie, and then it sits on their website and they kind of forget to tell people about it. And we don't want that for your fabulous freebie, do we? We want your freebie to, first of all, position you as an expert in your field. B, we want you to be top of mind to your soulmate clients. And C, this isn't about us generating sales. I mean, ultimately it is, but right now, with creating a freebie and launching a freebie, this is about you creating a connection with people and starting to generate the opportunity to build a relationship with those people. Those people may in time come and be your paid clients in the future. And just to let you know how this works sometimes, and I'm sure you probably can all think of situations where you've been this person or you've had this experience in your own business, but lots of people have this thing about, oh, you need to clear out your email list, get rid of anybody who's not been opening your emails in the last 2 years. But what I've found is that I cannot hear from somebody for a really, really long time, and then all of a sudden they buy something from me. And I get a bit blown away thinking, all right, where does that come from? But it's because they've been in my world. I've been nurturing a relationship with them. And when they're ready, they've decided to come and work with me. So that's how it works. And, we all talk about how many points of contact that you need to have with somebody. And if you're working with a female audience, it's higher than men. So what I want you to also think about this week is how fast you can build a relationship with somebody. So And what I mean by that is that in terms of touches, it's like how many times can you get yourself in front of somebody else, your intended soulmate client, and build a relationship based on you being the authority in your field. And how that happened for me is in 2016, I mean, I was totally ripe to come into this person's world. I've been following somebody, and I'm always a big fan. Like, if I'm following somebody, I always like to know like who they're working with. So I'm not often interested in them. I'm often interested to know who is helping and supporting them. So I've been following one coach, and I knew that she wasn't for me, but I was really interested to know who was coaching this particular coach. And people hold that secret. They hold it, don't they? They hold it really secretly. They don't ever share who they're working with. I'm a lot more open about that. Obviously, that's a personal choice. And this particular coach that I've been following in 2016 let slip who, what one of her coaches, who one of her coaches was. So I was like, right. So I started like following that person. And within 7 days of following this person, if you want to know who it is a lady called Kat Latosa. She's an Australian coach. I've worked with Kat lots. She's a multi-million-pound coach, and she swears a lot. So if you don't like that sort of thing, Kat is not for everybody. But I started following Kat, and within 7 days of following her, I knew that I wanted to work with her. And within 7 days, it wouldn't have mattered what she put out, I would have worked with her. Her relationship building was so spot on. So the first thing that kind of really works is really understanding your niche, really understanding how you're here to serve them, and really fine-tuning that message. So that was one of the things that really worked with Kat. And the other thing is that she sends a daily email of really brilliant content, really, it's not like blah, blah, blah. It's really, it's a bit off the wall, but on point as well. So it doesn't fit into your standard marketing. So obviously, in my industry, there's a lot of coaches around. I've seen everything, and Kat really stands out. So in 2016, I was like, oh my God, who's this woman? She's crazy, but she's amazing as well. So in a really short period of time, I knew that I was going to work with her. And then I've just finished working with her now. So it's like 2018. So over the last 2 years, I spent a lot of money working with Kat. But she's amazing. But this is what we can also generate for our own businesses. So there's a couple of mistakes that I see female business owners making, is that they have fabulous freebies, but they don't promote them, and they don't escalate the number of touches that somebody has. Yeah, total sound like an Aussie, doesn't it, Carol? You don't take the opportunity to escalate building that relationship up quickly. It's kind of like in the olden days, it was like have a newsletter and send out a monthly newsletter. Well, in a year, that would be 12 touches. In 2 years, that would be 24 touches. And I'm not sure that any of us want to sit around here and wait for 2 years for the possibility for somebody to land in our laps. So day one of our challenge here is I want you to think about your soulmate client's experience from coming in, and from the point of coming in and getting your freebie. And everything we do in the next 3 days will really build on this. I want you to think about what is the experience that you want your soulmate client to have when they have your freebie. So, and tomorrow we'll be looking at the call to action. But if you've got a call to action in mind, you might want to also add that on. So let's have a think about freebies and some of the challenges that we will be faced going out with a freebie. First of all, there's a wealth of freebies out there. There's some really rubbish ones. The ones that I absolutely hate are freebies that share nothing. So if you want to escalate your position of authority, if you want to escalate your ability to retain people on your email list, and if you want to retain people with the prospect that they will become a paying client, I really want to encourage you, whenever you're creating a freebie, to really add a mass of value. And like I said in the bundle from this month, that one of the key kind of secrets to leverage, and this is something that nobody ever talks about or really encourages, is that if you're spending time creating awesome freebies, is that when you are ready to retire that freebie, it becomes a paid product. So I really want for you to think about creating a freebie that is so good that you know that in 3 months' time you will create it into a paid product, and it could be one of your slow lane products. So you know, this is how good your freebie is going to be. So Tam, that's maybe the only benchmark I want you to think about, is that, you know, in 3 months' time when you retire this particular freebie, that whichever one you decide to take forward this week, you know, what is the price point that you would put on that freebie? Now, the other aspect to a freebie is, just like any paid product, that you want to choose a freebie that you are really in alignment with, that really that you're very excited about. Maybe it's something that, maybe it's about a topic that you've been talking about a lot of, or that's very, very topical at the moment. So somebody who's doing this really brilliantly is the lawyer Suzanne Dibble, who is the expert who's been going big on GDPR. Within a month, she has created a free Facebook group with over 5,000 people in there, because it's really topical what she's talking about. She's added a stack of value in there. There's not just a checklist, but she's getting experts in from all of, you know, all sorts of different places, you know, Dropbox, MailChimp, the coaches, all sorts of people in there, really delivering a load of content and value. She's doing little videos, she's going through the legislation, she's basically picking up the themes in the group, and she's creating little mini trainings about that. There's a two-hour webinar explaining what GDPR is, there's a checklist, and then she's got her product, which is a £97 product. So, you know, 5,000 people and increasing as we get closer to the implementation date, which is going to be the 25th of May. And she's going to have, I don't know, what do you think? 5, 10, 15, 20,000 small businesses in there? And then she's offering a product that's currently £97. I know she's putting the price up on the 31st of March. So she's really niched, she's got something really topical, and she's banging out the value. She's not worried about, like, how much value should I give equating to the income that she's got, because I don't think she can actually determine the income she's got, because the closer we get to GDPR and the more that people start to talk about it and the fact that they need it, the more sales she's going to generate. So what is it in like your business, in your field, that's really topical, that you feel in alignment to actually create and add such goodness to it that your audience absolutely can't, it's like a no-brainer for them to give you their email. So let me know if you've got any questions about that. So what we're doing today, just for clarity, because I know there's a lot of information here, is that we're looking at mapping out your customer experience. What do you want people who come in and download your freebie, what's that customer experience going to be? So in the first place, what is your freebie? What is it actually providing your soulmate client with? And it really needs to be like your sweet spot, you know, the stuff that you can just rattle off without any prep, something really topical and helpful for your clients. You maybe want to do some research around buzzwords. So there's all sorts of different places you can go to and look at that. So you can look at Amazon, you can look at YouTube, and really start to, there's also a site called Buzzwords, there's Google search, there's all sorts of different places you can go to actually do some research on things. So you might be like, you know, how to make business through your online, how to make money through your online business. Well, that's really broad, isn't it? So how can you narrow that down to something really juicy? And the secret sauce here is, if you're not entirely sure, go and check with your audience. So really get very, very clear about like a freebie that you're really, really in alignment with. It might even be a freebie that you've created previously, and you know that there's so much goodness in it that you want to bring it back again. Next, I want you to think about your clients' objections. What would be your, what would be the objections for your audience to actually downloading this? And it comes down to a number of things, doesn't it? So people can, some of their objections could be they're not quite sure how your freebie is going to help them. So if that's a potential objection, that's really indicating that you need to get really, really clear on what your freebie does in terms of helping and supporting your audience. The next thing is, if they've got an objection which is thinking about time, so I haven't got very much time, that isn't about creating like a 2-hour webinar. It's about thinking, right, how can I break that information down into small bite-sized pieces? So it could be about, perhaps you have got a 2-hour webinar. Can you actually cut that down into, a number of 15-minute videos or something like that? Is it about maybe creating a printable where people get added value because they're having to go through the actual questions that you're posing for them? It could be a challenge, it could be a webinar. There's all sorts of different ways that you can actually deliver your freebie. And what you want to be doing all the time is making it really easy for your audience to say yes to. One of the other things is our curse of knowledge, that we have all this information and we assume that everybody's on the same place as us. Well, you can categorically understand that the people who want to come work with you are a few steps below you. So how can you simplify the information that you've got that makes it manageable for somebody else to consume and actually get some value from it? Another objection might be a fear that, they've got, if it, like, let's say you did a freebie and it was like, how to become a selling badass. For my audience, that would be completely the wrong message. But let's say that that's what you did. So you got this freebie, like how to become a selling badass. Well, to me, a few years ago, that would have really triggered me and made me feel quite fearful, like I had to become a badass to be successful. So it's if you think that some of your audience's objections to actually downloading your freebie and taking the work forward is that they maybe have fear or some concerns about their own ability to do it. So how can you build in confirmation that they're in the right place and that this will actually support them to overcome their challenges? So you could be like, it could be something like how to convert your warm leads to paying clients in 3 easy steps. It could be something like that, where you kind of looking at what their fear is and starting to turn it around and looking at how you can actually build in some belief that they only have to learn these 3 easy steps and then they can start to sell gracefully or something like that. So really think about what are the objections to your clients actually downloading something. And it comes back to always putting your soulmate client at the heart of this entire experience. Right, so today's actionable, with all that information on board, is for you to map out your customer experience from the point that they receive their fabulous freebie, whatever you decide it's going to be. Map out what you want that experience to be like. Do you want them to come and join you and work with you for a number of days on a challenge? Are they coming to be on a webinar? So if they're coming on a webinar, what's that going to be like? How many emails they're going to receive, for instance? So they're going to get the welcome email. Maybe you're going to send an email a few days before the webinar with maybe their worksheet, and then do they get a reminder on the day before the webinar, an hour before the webinar goes live? Maybe in that communication you also want to introduce them to your group and ask them to come into your group and ask some more questions. And maybe in your group you're going to be asking people, what else do you want to learn in the webinar? And then through the webinar experience, what happens then? You know, what is the content that they're receiving? What is your call to action at the end? Well, not at the end, but you might decide to put the call to action in the middle or towards the end. How long have they got the replay for? Is it forever? Is it for a limited time only? How many emails after that are they going to receive to actually convert them to taking up your offer? So when you start to say it like that, it's like all of a sudden it's like that, like I'm going to do a freebie, suddenly feels like a much bigger job. But you can soon create a customer experience kind of roadmap for every freebie that you do. So you might have a roadmap for a webinar, a challenge, and some of those aspects might be the same. But the key thing, and this is what I said at the beginning, which some of you may have missed, is that, you know, once you get this kind of flow diagram or this roadmap or whatever it is that you put it into place, and then afterwards you review it and you say what worked really well, what didn't work really well, what could I have done differently, and what will I do differently next time? And you monitor it and you get better and you tighten it. And there'll also be emails that you can pinch for other webinars where you're just basically cutting and pasting. So you'll start to get really, really refined at this, or you can, you start to have a process that you can actually pass on to somebody else to deliver it for you. So number one, break action is for you to map out your customer experience. And I really want for you to put some human element into this as well, and think about how you want your audience to feel as they're going through this experience with you. You know, for me, I'd want my audience to feel excited, enriched, and for them to feel like empowered that they could do this themselves, definitely. So who's got questions for me? Who's got things that they're absolutely know that they're going to take forward? Let me hear your thoughts on this content and your plans, more importantly. Carol says that she's buzzing with ideas now. Good. And there can be really simple things. You know, that might sound quite complex, like you have this roadmap and it's this and this, but it's really about keeping it as simple as possible. Maybe you're just going to have a downloadable, maybe it's a, like a meditation or a video or how to do something where you've captured the screen process, and maybe it's just like, kind of landing page, email with freebie attached, and maybe then it's just an email sequence after that where you're nurturing the relationship. And always when you're doing and nurturing a relationship, you want to be thinking about that experience as well. So is it something where you're going to add some additional content? So I hadn't thought of leading a freebie into a webinar, but it's such a good plan, an evergreen webinar. Yeah, you can have an evergreen webinar. This is, again, about an authority piece, isn't it? So Carol says, mine will be a video series plus a 60-minute live discussion with me. Lovely. Very exciting. Yeah, you could have, just going back to the freebie idea about the webinar, is that you could have like a short video where you've created a video and it's like the first introductory piece, which would be great for a cold audience, and then they sign up for with that call to action being to go to the evergreen webinar or even the live webinar. There's all sorts of different things you can do with it. Thankfully, with all the internet and all of the tools that we've got available, we can be really, really creative, and we can be really, really simple with it as well. It's just always thinking about, we're not just creating a freebie for the good of, because we're such amazing people. It is a marketing strategy and it's a relationship builder as well, isn't it? And, in your kind of nurturing sequence that you put in place, you can have calls to actions that are, jump on a discovery call, here's a product, here's some more information, here's a link to my diary. There's all sorts of things that you can do. And this is, this is a golden opportunity to really do that. And what I like to do as well is that because we are surrounded by lots of amazing creative people creating fabulous freebies, is that I like to take screenshots of things that really catch my imagination. And not that I want to pinch their ideas, but I want to understand, you know, how did that stand out from other people who are delivering something similar? Because that's what we want to do. We want to stand out, don't we? So who's got any questions? If you're watching the recording back, of course, post your questions up as well. And you might want to do a freebie where there is no sales attached to it. And again, whilst we're talking about GDPR, that might be a really brilliant strategy to have kind of towards the end of April and the beginning of May, where you just love up your audience and they just get a whole load of value, and that they know when they're deciding whose email to keep on, is that they have you top of mind because they know that you're somebody who's going to love them up with a load of brilliant content that's relevant to what they need. So any questions? Let me just put what the action for today is, just to clarify that. Day 1, actionable. If I can type actionable. And map out your soulmate client's experience from the beginning to the end. Steve's sharing that mine is a downloadable bundle which stay as my main freebie, as it is a copy of work about self-discovery. It is a relationship builder rather. Yes, I'm doing a piece of work with my marketing coach at the moment, and we're doing an authority piece. There is a call to action, but it's really, there's not like there's not a challenge, there's not a webinar, there's not something for them to go to. It is like, here's some content, here's a little bit more content, here's a nurturing sequence, and then the call to action is to jump on a call with me. So again, it's monitoring these things. So Dee, I would say that I would monitor that. So if you're getting good take up with it, build in a call to action to do something else with you. And then it's, I would say, looking at Dee's strategy, I would be thinking, well, if I'm putting my efforts into creating this freebie and nurturing people, how do I want to take that to the next level? So if it's just a nurturing freebie, is it about getting them into a group where you can carry on nurturing, or do you have in mind, in a short period of time, an offer that's going to be really relevant to them? So if you've got, maybe that's your big strategy, your big picture. Yep. So Dee wants to warm people up. Alana, are you meaning the experience in terms of the steps in the funnel? So it's a bit of both, isn't it? So what is going to be their experience? So you want to pull it back. You're absolutely right to pull me up on this. So you want to kind of pull them back and think about the customer experience. So do you want them to get like daily access to some content, or would that be too much? So remember what I said at the beginning about like speeding up the process, so people are ready sooner. But you can do that in a number of ways, can't you? So it could be that they receive the freebie, they get another email from you, maybe with a reminder, or maybe you're pointing out some great element. It's basically a bit of a reminder that they need to look at their freebie. I'm also going to invite them into your group, so then you've got another opportunity to build a relationship with them. And so in the first instance, for clarification, it is about the customer experience. Do you want them to get daily things from you? Do you want to ease them in? Do you want to pull them into your group so you can kind of further expand that relationship with them? What things have you got going on in your group that would lead to this? The other thing would be to then map out what that looks like from a strategy point of view, so you can actually monitor it. But for me, I'd always be thinking about like from the customer experience, how do you want them to feel? I said I would want mine to feel enriched, excited and empowered to take forward whatever it is that I was sharing with them. Carol says, so having got them on my email list, at the end I can have a call to action. Yeah, and you might, I mean, part of your call to action, Carol, and we'll be talking about calls to actions tomorrow, but of course, if you've got questions about call to actions, let's talk about it now. But one of your call to actions could be about them coming into your group as well. So you can build that relationship with them. And if you know when you members club's going to be available, you could say like coming soon in April. So it kind of leads them to like, oh, I want to be the first ones in. You know, there's always the people who want to be the first ones. I definitely want to be the first ones. Yeah. Okay, so any other questions? So in day 2, we will be looking at like how you're going to get out there with it, what your call to action is, kind of, and the mindset around that as well. Yeah, brilliant, Dee. So your call to action would be to come into the group. What we need to do whenever we're inviting somebody into a group, we need to be really clear about what they will benefit from being in a group, because we're all in tons of groups, aren't we? So whatever we're saying, and so you want to make it like a little bit of scarcity, like be the first ones to hear about, don't miss out on X, or you will receive additional resources in, you know, whatever the topic field is, so self-discovery. So be really explicit, maybe think of 3 or 5 reasons why they should join from their perspective. So Lucy said, is the idea to automatically add people that sign up to your email list in general? Yeah. So Lucy, if you think about, and you can go over and have a look on my website as well, but it's about people basically landing on a landing page, hopefully on your website, but not everybody has a website or has, so you're landing somewhere and you're basically giving your name and your email address in exchange. So that is taken automatically because it's like a little form on your website. And then underneath all of that, you're using a tool like Aweber or MailChimp, where you have pre-set up an automated responder, which basically, you know, once somebody's gone through the kind of double opt-in, and there might be a few more opt-ins going forward, but we'll deal with that when we know, that once they've dealt with the opt-ins, that your freebie just automatically pings into their email box. And then you can decide after that if there's some other steps within the autoresponder email sequence that you want to put in place that helps nurture that relationship. So I hope that's clarified that for you, Lucy. Lucy might have had to go and do the school run, but if you want any further clarification on that, Lucy, let me know. I've got to say that obviously I don't do anything on my website. It's Kelly who manages my website. So if I have a freebie that I want her to put up, she puts it up for me. So if you've got any like techie questions, Kelly's in the group, you know, by all means, please ask her. Yeah, so I think Lucy's got that. Brilliant. Okay, right. So that's it. Day 1, map out your desired customer experience. Underneath that, map out what that actually looks like. Keep it as your roadmap, monitor it, analyse it. Lucy's got a nice long day. I've got to go and do the school run now. Right, I'll be back at 2:30 tomorrow where we'll start to look at the next bit. But yeah, I'm loving the energy here and the intentions that you guys have set. So keep asking questions, keep letting your creative mind come up with some juicy options for your awesome audience. See you soon.